Keith McGowan, the Outboard Dad here to help you have a better boating experience. Today we're going to continue on with our 250. We had a knocking sound, and I believe I know where it's coming from. It's not, I don't believe it's coming from the engine, although we're going to be thorough with that as well. Today we have leaking power tilt and trim. We're going to get that power tilt and trim out of there. I'm also going to remove the tilt tube because I believe the bushings are completely shot, and I think that's where it's knocking back and forth. So when I was tilting up and down and rotating the motor, if you remember, the the steering section was stuck, so we got that freed up. I actually added another grease fitting on the other side, actually a larger hole, so I could get more grease inside there, and got this freed up really nice now. So we got this moving pretty freely now. Right, so it'll work out a little more, but what I want to do is get that tilt tube apart. So I'm going to tilt it up all the way, put our kickstand down. We sprayed that up a little bit too. Make sure the other side came down as well, and it did. Sometimes those two, there's a plastic piece with a spline in between there with a spring on it. Sometimes that doesn't, one side will move but the other side won't, but they both moved, which is pretty good. We lubed it up a little bit. We're going to sit it down in the kickstand here just a little bit. We're going to take this pin out first. We're going to drive that out. We're going to drop that down, disconnect it electrically, so now we will not be able to move this motor. So is that a smart idea, or should I take the pin out and then bring it down slowly and then do my tilt tube and do my tilt and trim later? I'm gonna have to think about this. So I decided what we'll do here is we will knock that pin out, get our piston down so we can get our tilt and trim out of there. Then we'll disconnect the battery, disconnect it electrically, and then I'll hook up my hoist to the end of this and tilt it up, put the kickstand back, go down to get our tilt tube out, because we're going to have to support this from up top when we take that tilt tube out, and probably lay it on a tire or something on the ground. So let's go for taking that pin out. So there's a split ring right here, and we should be able to knock that out because Bill had changed this out one time already. And then we have 1, 2, 3 bolts on this side, 4 up underneath there, 4 on the other side, and we should be able to wrangle that out of there. We'll loosen this up a little bit, maybe to bring it out, and then we'll go ahead and get this out of there and take a look at it. Go ahead and remove this split ring first. So that came right out, no problem. It's a little bent, we'll save that. If you notice, the kickstand on the other side has a hole in it, so this should drive right out that hole. Should. You see here, drive pins coming out. It should be far enough out now that the piston will come down. Nope, still on there. Looks like Bill did a good job greasing that up. Now we're out. Now we'll take our bolts out and get this out of the way. I'm probably going to support this with my lift while I'm working on it, just as an extra precaution. We will remove the 4 bolts. 1 missing. Go ahead and trace these wires up. So I have a sensor wire. Looks like the sensor is no good, it's frozen. So we're going to trace this wire up. Nice thick wire here where it connects. And we have a couple 10mm nuts here. It's actually painted blue where the blue wire goes. Black goes to ground. And then green has a little painted green spot where the green one goes. So we're going to go ahead and disconnect that. We already disconnected our battery. We'll pull that wire out, take the rest of these bolts out, and pull this power tilt and trim out, and then we'll tilt this motor down. So go ahead and unwire this before I remove the last bolt and have it drop out and be hanging by the wire. I have the lower unit rigged up on my lift just as a precaution, but we may need to take a little weight off of it. Going to also remove this nut, not completely, I'm just going to loosen it up so that I can spread the transom mount out a little further to help us get our power tilt and trim out of there. We pulled the wire out of the housing, out of the cowling, pull it the rest of the wire way through here. This way we know it's loose now. We're just going to loosen this up a little bit, give us a little room. I don't want to go too far because I don't want to come off my kickstand. But then again, that's why I have my hoist there as well to help support it. So now that we've got it a little loose, this should lift out of here, up and out. We do have a ground wire still connected. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it back in and loosen up that 10mm ground wire so we can hook it back up later. This should lift right out. Now that I've got the ground disconnected, now I can put this in our vise and inspect why this is leaking, but more importantly, we're going to get this tilt tube out of here. I'm going to go ahead and lift up the motor with my hoist, take my kickstand down, and then slowly lower this down so that we can work on getting these two halves off. Before we take these two halves off, we're going to get it rigged up on the flywheel because there won't be anything to support the engine because there won't be any transom mounts. Now we'll go ahead and crank our lift up all the way. This patented eye-bolt Harbor Freight steering wheel puller with a couple of head bolts from a Yamaha. Now we're rigged, so I have just a little bit of weight off of it, nothing crazy. I can go ahead and remove my bolts from my transom mount. I also have some wood screws in the bottom just to keep it from kicking out. I'll remove those, take this nut off, and we'll start working this back and forth. I have a feeling it's going to come off easily because it's so badly worn out. I'm wondering if the tilt tube got worn out as well, so we're going to have to check it out when we get it apart. This is Keith McGowan, the Outboard Dad, here to help you have a better boating experience by learning how to take care of your motors and your boats yourself. We're going to continue on with this project in my next video. Don't forget, for a limited time only until October 13th, coming soon, it's only a couple weeks away, my used outboard motor buying guide for all my subscribers will get this for free. Shoot me an email at keith@outboarddad.com or send me a comment with your email and I'll send you over a copy free. That's a $20 value on Amazon.